Hey everybody, good morning. Nikki Burnett here. Today's Taste Life Nutrition Radio and podcast streaming live on KUHSdenver.com, where I get to bring on some of the coolest people and have some of the best conversations. And that's what we're doing today. And sorry, I'm blocking. There we go. We're bringing on Hannah Bryant. Hannah Bryant works with a company called STEMREGEN. And this is, let me turn my music down because I always forget. This is a company who I was just recently introduced to, and have had, I keep blocking you, sorry. I've had, a few conversations with her now. I'm still learning about this, but if you know me, I'm a conference nerd. I just want to learn. I want to continue to grow, and I want to know what is out there that is super cutting edge. So at this conference, this STEMREGEN, who I kept getting emails from STEMREGEN. I was like, what is this and why are they emailing me? And you get 4,000 emails, and it didn't click until I went to this conference. I went, oh, now I'm going to start paying attention to the emails. But anyway, Hannah with STEMREGEN, thank you so much for being here. I am stoked to get into this conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. Okay, so first things first, we always start the show with gratitude. Gratitude can change the world. I fully believe that, and I think it's really important that we go to bed in gratitude and we wake up in gratitude, and throughout our day, even when things get tough, we think about what really is so good in our world and in our lives, because it changes energy, it changes biochemistry. It's just the best thing, and it's not always easy, but when you do it, things become easier. So, Hannah, what are you grateful for?
I love this, and I believe that too.
Yeah.
So many things to be grateful for, but I really am grateful to be a part of this mission with STEMREGEN, and I'm grateful for having good health, and I think that's really important in today's climate. And really just how I got here, working for this amazing company and supporting Christian Repose's mission with getting endogenous stem cell mobilization to the marketplace. It actually started when I was a personal trainer at a retirement community in Florida.
Oh.
And it was fun. That was one of my first jobs out of college. And I was running the fitness department, teaching fitness classes, doing one-on-one personal training sessions. And it was fascinating because I would have people in their 80s and 90s who were just full of life. People very healthy, working out, exercising, just enjoying life in their 80s and 90s. And then I'd also have the people in their 80s and 90s who were just not well. And they haven't been well for a very long time. And I was probably 23, 24, 25, around that age. And this was just an eye-opener for me. Like, okay, it's really time to focus on my health and really pay attention and try to take care of my health to prevent disease, because I wanted to age gracefully. I wanted to age and do those things in my 80s and 90s that some of these residents were doing at this retirement community, and not be wheelchair bound and not being able to enjoy my life. And I would attend these medical breakthroughs that they would host for these residents, and one of them was on Alzheimer's prevention. And that was shocking to me. I was like, okay, we can prevent Alzheimer's? I didn't know that. I thought
And
this
reverse.
is just...
Begin to reverse.
Yeah, it was just such an eye-opening thing for me.
Yeah.
So that just kind of, my curiosity just kept leading me to different roles. So from fitness became yoga, from yoga I started to learn about biohacking, and from biohacking I started working for different types of wellness retail outlets, focusing on IV drip therapy and hyperbaric oxygen, and just learning other ways to really heal our bodies. And just one job led to another, and I found this amazing company at the biohacking conference a few years ago, and hearing Christians speak about endogenous stem cell mobilization, it was groundbreaking to me. And I was like, something like this could really, really heal the world. And that's what led me here.
Well, and so is it okay if I ask you, because you have personal experience with this as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I have several types of things that I have witnessed just in the year and a half of taking this product. And the first thing I really noticed was, very personal, was, my menstrual cycle. My menstrual cycle really shifted, and that was something that, since I've started, has always been extremely painful for me. And
can we hit on that just real quick, because, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's so important that we don't gloss over what this means. And I know you have more you want to dig into it, but so many women struggle with so much pain every month for years and years and years. I've had clients who are in the emergency department because of their pain, right? I mean, it's pure insanity, and so much of it is it's the toxins in our environment, and the xenoestrogens and the estrogen mimickers, and all of these things that are creating this amazing, and not in a good way, toxic burden on our body, and that something like this has the ability to manage, reverse this kind of situation is truly fascinating. And it's not just, it goes deeper than hormones, right? That's what I always say, and I'm sorry, I keep going off, but it's always about asking why. And you think you've gone deep enough, and I've learned this more over the last few months than maybe my entire life, but you think you've gone deep enough, you're like, holy smokes, there's another layer. Just so we can't stop asking why. We've got to keep going, okay, there's something more. What else is there? So I'm going to let you continue, sorry.
Yeah, and I agree, like, so many women deal with this, and I think a lot of it comes to, it's a deeper layer of conditioning. I think a lot of us just accept that this is just the way it is, so we don't really seek help for it. We just kind of like suffer internally, and that's kind of how it was for me. I never really thought to go work with a practitioner or a holistic health practitioner to help me understand why I am suffering every month. I just kind of accepted it. And I wasn't expecting anything to change once I started taking this product. Before starting with this company, I honestly really wasn't a supplement taker because I just didn't know what my body needed. And so instead of going and taking a bunch of supplements and not really knowing, I just kind of always avoided it. So part of the perk of being an employee is to start taking the protocol. So I started taking the supplements to connect the dots until a few months in of taking the product that I realized I'm not dealing with pain anymore during my cycle. I'm not reaching for a heating pad. I'm not taking Advil. And I used to take Advil quite a bit, multiple times a day in the first 2 or 3 days of my cycle. And I haven't taken Advil.
Damaging.
Which is so damaging for your liver. So that was like the first, like, whoa, what is happening here? So, and then I, would ask Christian and other people, taking the product, other women that have taken the product, and that's usually the first kind of response that we get. Women who are menstruating notice, like, my cycles have regulated. So not only did the pain begin to go away, but hormones kind of came back into balance. So not only, my cycle, I'd always have to track it. Sometimes it was 28 days, sometimes it's 35 days. It just comes when it comes. Now it's a perfect 28-day cycle. So, like, I've never had that.
Yeah.
And so like, there's freedom in that, where I know, like, okay, it's not a painful cycle. It's not something that I have to get anxious or upset about. It's just, it is what it is, and I'm at peace.
Yeah. Oh, how nice. So many people aren't, right, for multiple reasons, but it's a really beautiful thing to say, So
that was really like the first thing I started to notice. And then there's another layer here that, before I go deeper into this, I've never been diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but I've known my entire life that I have some type of connective tissue issue.
Yeah.
And I know this because my entire life I've always dealt with shoulder dislocations and hip dislocations. Always been hypermobile, hyperflexible, and as an athlete in high school, it got to a point where I would be playing basketball, and in the middle of a game, my shoulder would dislocate. And then, sometimes we'd have an athletic trainer, sometimes we wouldn't. And so it just kind of became a thing in high school where we're like, you can't really play sports anymore because this is happening so consistently. So I had to stop playing sports. and I met with my orthopedic surgeon to kind of figure out what's going on. And, you know, this was almost 18 years ago. And the orthopedic surgeon was like, you just have loosey-goosey joints. Like, there was not like a diagnosis or anything. It's just like, that's just how you're built. And the only thing that we can do for you is we can do some surgery, tighten those ligaments down, and that was that. So I had a total rotator cuff repair surgery at 16 years old. I was the youngest female in that surgeon's operating room for this type of surgery.
Wow.
You never see, like, I've just never see anyone in here. Usually it's, you know, someone older who, you know, had an athletic injury, but this was just my connective tissue being so loose at my shoulders. Like, I would raise my hand and my shoulder would dislocate.
Oh my goodness.
So from then, I just had this like idea in my mind, okay, I can't really play sports. I have to be careful. And that mindset, you know, throughout high school, throughout college, really affected me with exercise. I was always being careful. I'd get into cardio, but I really wouldn't do strength training.
Which is a problem, right? It's a problem for aging. Yeah.
Huge problem for aging. So, and it's interesting because as I am, you know, learning this about myself, I'm going to school for kinesiology. So I'm learning about movement, and I'm learning about the body. And it wasn't until really I got deep into kinesiology that I realized I'm not doing myself a favor here. I need to start doing stability. I need to start doing stability exercises. So I started getting into strength training and stability, and found some more confidence in my body with not having the fear of, like, if I do a certain movement, I'm not going to dislocate something. So that fear kind of went away, but was still kind of in the back of my head. But there would be times in adulthood that I would dislocate a shoulder. I have to go to the emergency room and get my shoulder put back into place. I start with this company and I start taking this product, and within 6 months of being on this product, I'm doing Pilates reformer classes, which, if anyone knows, it's a challenge. And there's a lot of cable pulley devices in there that we're using, and, you know, the fear of possibly dislocating something kind of went away. So the fact that I was able to start going to a class like that and create stability in my body, I've been doing this for the last 6 months, and I feel so much more connected in my body than I ever have. So there's this repair that's happening by putting more stem cells into circulation, and this is what STEMREGEN release does. So STEMREGEN is a product that our founder, Christian Drapeau, has created and formulated. He's been studying and researching this for the last 20 something years, and it's endogenous stem cell mobilization. So these stem cells are coming from the body's red bone marrow, and these plant extracts are stimulating the release of your own stem cells out of the red bone marrow and into the blood circulation.
Which, real quick, I'm gonna interrupt you again. You know, I think at this point we're at this place where most people have heard of stem cells, stem cell therapy. You know, some of it is, you know, problematic in how we acquire stem cells, right? And some of it's great in how we acquire stem cells exogenously, right, outside of the body. And so it's a big moneymaker, but it's super therapeutic as far as exogenous stem cells, right? You can spin down your own blood to your stem cells. I don't know how it all works, but I know that that's stuff that we can do. You can also get umbilical cord stem cells, right? It's all of these different things. But what if, and that's what we're talking about, you just use your own, right? And you don't have to go through these crazy therapies, which I'm not saying are bad. Some of them are game-changing and life-changing. I have a client, we were talking about her a little while ago before the show, same client who had a hip issue, had stem cell therapy, and it changed her life. I mean, it's amazing stuff. What if, though, she had had something like this where it would have helped her, you know, anyway. I think it's all just amazing.
Yeah, so what Christian's really pioneered, he has pioneered endogenous stem cell mobilization. So, and he really figured this out when he was studying blue-green algae in Klamath Lake in the 90s. And as he was studying this, he found that there were more stem cells, you know, in circulation within a few hours of taking this extract. So when he figured this out, he was like, okay, there's got to be other extracts out there that have the same ability, the same mechanism of action. So these are injury mimicking compounds, in these plant extracts that are stimulating the release of stem cells out of the red bone marrow and into the blood circulation. But before I go too deep into that, it's important to know that our stem cells in our bodies come from the red bone marrow. And as we age, our red marrow mostly converts to yellow marrow by the time we're 28, 30 years old. So we only have about 10% red marrow left in the body. So it's not that as we age that our own stem cells are less potent. It's just that as we age, we have less of them circulating in our body to go heal and repair and damaged tissue. So on a daily basis, our bodies naturally release about 2.5 million stem cells. It's just not enough circulating stem cells to go really repair the damage that's been done to the body, whether it's due to lifestyle, whether that's due to the food that we eat, environmental issues that are damaging cells within the body. Those 2.5 stem cells that are circulating naturally by themselves are not maintaining the body enough to prevent disease from happening, to prevent injuries from happening. And so what putting more stem cells in circulation can do is to go and heal and repair the damaged tissue. And so,
can I ask you a quick question on that? Because I'm curious. So much of life, when it's life breaks us down, right? It's just part of it. The toxins and the stuff. It kind of starts breaking the body down. So the tissues are damaged. DNA is also damaged. So when DNA is damaged, right, that's the stuff that can lead to, possibility of cancer. So can stem cells, I know cells versus DNA are different because we got DNA in our cells, but can stem cells, repair damaged DNA?
that's a really good question. I off at the top of my head, I don't know that, so I don't want to give an answer off the top of my head.
Sure.
That would definitely be something I'd love to ask Christian about.
Okay,
Actually,
I appreciate it.
I've never had anyone ask me that question before.
Cool, I'm a first. Good. Okay, amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, essentially what I was saying is, more stem cells in the circulation can go heal and repair the body. And just because you have, some people do treatments where they take stem cells out of the adipose tissue, out of the bone marrow, and then put it back in. And just because you do that doesn't make those stem cells any more potent, any more better than the stem cells you already have. So why not take a supplement that can just stimulate the release of your own stem cells out of the red bone marrow and into the blood circulation? So this is really, the idea that Christian has really pioneered is taking these herbal plant extracts as a supplement. Taking 2 capsules of STEMREGEN releases on average about 10 million more of your own stem cells in circulation. And we've had many really just amazing results with this product. So we have a study on chronic stable congestive heart failure. And what's fascinating to me about this study is that the patients in the study are between the ages of 60 and 90 years old. So traditionally people would think, okay, your own stem cells are not potent, at that age, so do they even work? And we debunked that theory. It's just that we have less of them in circulation.
Yeah.
So when you put more, stem cells into circulation, we were able to go and repair damaged heart tissue. So in this heart failure study, those patients increased their ejection fraction rate of 23.5% when they high dose the product. And the reason why I say high dose, every 6 hours, these patients would take 2 more capsules of release, because the life of circulation is about 6 hours. So about every 6 hours, we want to put more stem cells in circulation to go heal where the damage is. And in 6 months, these patients stabilize their condition, which is groundbreaking.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. And that's one of the things that I love about this too, is that the data that you have, this is data that's not typically like supplement data, right? And I know you'll get into the Parkinson's study, but these aren't things that typically can even be considered for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And a lot of other companies out there making claims, they're usually making claims from other research. It's not their own research. And so at the end of the day, like, we are a supplement company, but we're also a research company. We're conducting our own research. And it takes, it's hard work. And when it comes to the Parkinson's study, you know, a Parkinson's study is really, really hard to do, because oftentimes these doctors will tell their patients there's no hope. Like, don't go put yourself in a study. You're not going to get, nothing's going to change. Like, this cannot be reversed.
That's the stuff, and I'm going to do it again. I can't help it. That's the thing that makes me so angry. So angry. They did this to my mom, right? Is that somebody will say, you don't have a choice, or you no longer have the ability to live. We're giving you a timeline. It's not fair to do that to people. I think it's unfair. It makes me angry. Nobody knows but God when your time's up. And to tell you not to go into a study or not to try and just get your things in order, you have 2 months to live or whatever it is, it just eats me up. It's crazy.
I know. Such a shame.
Yeah.
And I think people are getting diagnosis, you know, every day, and it's unfortunate that most people are usually getting that kind of feedback. Like,
yeah.
Unfortunately, like, this is unfortunate, but this is what to expect. There's not really, you know, they're not really giving them resources to go and help them heal and repair. It's like, here's this medication, here's this drug, you know, this, you know, might keep symptoms at bay, it may not, but it's not, you know, it's not healing the disease. It's, you know, usually just putting a Band-Aid on it. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, in our Parkinson's study, so far, this is ongoing. We really just started getting into this about a year ago, but so far in the study, these patients have decreased their tremors by 60%, which is huge.
Wow.
And we've had case studies, you know, before actually getting into the research study, we've had people with Parkinson's high dosing the product 2 capsules 3 times a day. We had someone who went from completely debilitated in the sense that their tremors were so bad, they were really not functional. And in about 6 months, this person, the tremors really decreased, and this person was able to put a wristwatch on their arm. This person was able to shave and really begin to do the daily activities of daily living that were really taken away from this person due to the tremors. So we've had really good success when we were getting into the chronic disease, and really that's our focus. It's kind of interesting when we go to conferences. We go to a lot of longevity conferences, right? And a lot of people want to know, is this going to make me younger? Like, okay, I guess we could, you know, start researching that, but at the end of the day, like, chronic disease is really important right now. And so that's the focus.
Yeah.
So we could put our resources into, like, is this making me younger? Is this going to make me live longer? But at the end of the day, if we are preventing disease from happening, aren't we living longer?
I mean, and better, right? I mean, I think that so it's the thing with the whole longevity thing. I get why we call it that, but it's really more about living well for how long we're here. And so, yes, you know, however long we have, if you are not struggling with the symptoms, how cool would it be if your wrinkles are reduced? I mean, I'd be all about that. but yeah, I mean, that's the stuff that is what is key for the individual, for living the optimal life that, you know, God intended for us to live, but then is for society to be a productive, healthy, you know, integrated society who is out there doing what God intended. You know what I mean?
And really, I mean, so people will ask, like, well, if I'm healthy, should I take this product? Like, 100%. 100% you should take this product. I take this product, and I take all of it. I take, you know, release, mobilize, and signal. And I take it for disease prevention, injury prevention. My husband and I love to get out and explore on the weekends. So when the weather's great, you know, we live in a really beautiful state. We live in North Carolina. 2 hours away is the beach. 3 hours away, you know, are the mountains. So, you know, we love to get out and explore. When you get out and explore and hike, you know, your body becomes sore, right? So staying consistent on a supplement like this I can go out and live my life and not deal with repercussions of delayed onset muscle soreness, which happens a lot. Release, just taking 2 capsules of release can prevent, you know, something as subtle as delayed onset muscle soreness, something as subtle as going out for a, you know, a pretty long hike and waking up the next morning and not having those aches and pains. And so I take it for those reasons. I take it for, you know, in my 70s and 80s, I don't want a disease, a chronic disease to sneak in. And, you know, there's a study out there that shows people with a chronic disease have 50% less stem cells in circulation than a healthy individual. So if we can keep our system circulating with stem cells, you know, we can potentially prevent from the disease from sneaking in and our, you know, really it's happening, that disease is settling in our 40s and 30s, 40s and 50s, but we don't see it. We're not diagnosed with it until we're in our 60s, 70s, or 80s.
Right.
So the reason why I take it is to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. So I have to ask the question, because for me, and then for anybody else out there who are dog lovers, anybody taking it or giving it to their dogs or other animals?
Yeah, so that is actually in the pipeline to be creating a small and a large pet formula. I give STEMREGEN release to my dog. I have a senior dog. He's a German Shepherd. His name is Jack. He's 11 years old, and I give him 1 capsule a day. Okay,
good to know. I've got 3 girls, and I think we've talked about this, but you know they are. I hate the word senior at 11 because the dogs are supposed to live a lot longer than that.
They're so hopeful. Yes, I know. I hear that.
And it's hard, you know. It's life, and there's so many things that we don't understand about the food that we are told that we're supposed to give our dogs. And I'm kind of going off track a little bit, but you know, the one thing that I'm going to say is food is not human food. Food is food. Feed your dog real food. So, with that being said, though, because the typical kibble food, it just breaks down the system, right? And so if you're going to continue giving kibble, which I pray that anybody out there, you just think about feeding your dog real food. If you add something like this, it can help. I would imagine it can help to counteract some of the damage that is being created by.
Spot on. In fact, we finally, after 11 years, finally started making Jack's food homemade. And this, it's unfortunate because we're like, man, we should have been doing this his entire life. We just didn't really, put much of a thought into it until he started. And so Jack's been on the product just as long as I've been on the product, and he's a healthy boy. He's a very active, dog. In fact, most people, when we're walking, will be like, oh my gosh, how's your dog? And we're like, 11. He's like, wait, what? Your dog's 11 years old? Like, he doesn't look like an 11-year-old German Shepherd. He's still very active. And we just started feeding him real food probably 3 months ago.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Yeah. He was taking regular release with just, dry food up until then. And now he's on real, every Sunday we meal prep for us. We meal prep for Jack.
Yeah, awesome.
Eats real food every single day, and we've noticed a huge difference just in how he feels. His fur is so much, healthier. There's no more allergies. This dog used to itch and scratch all the time.
Yep.
But we started putting him on release because we would notice after long hikes, because we still take him to the Appalachian Trail with us every time we go, and we would notice he would be down for the count for like 3 days. The dog would just be wiped out.
Yeah.
Well, now when he goes with us, after taking just 1 capsule a day, he's like super active.
Amazing.
Like he doesn't need any rest days.
I love that. And I was gonna, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you. I didn't hear what you said.
I just said it's got to be helping his joints. Whether he was down for the count because of energy or he was down for the count just because his, joints were hurting him. He's not doing that anymore, it just makes me feel like I have a puppy again.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad you told me that. And I think that that's amazing. And so it motivates me. I've been thinking about this. And, I don't ever want to assume that something like this is beneficial for when I don't know, right? But but you can't assume. Like, it just only makes sense that you can give it to the dog. So today's their day. I'm gonna start giving it to my girls.
I just give one a day, and I you know, it's a capsule, so I just put it in peanut butter. He just licks the spoon and has no idea there's a capsule in there, and does just fine with it.
Great. Does it have to be on an empty stomach for humans or for animals?
It doesn't have to be. You can take release, you know, with food. When you're taking the entire protocol, like mobilize, I would recommend taking mobilize on an empty stomach, because we wouldn't want the digestive enzymes to eat up all the healthy stuff inside the powder. But that doesn't mean you can't, you know, take it with like a smoothie or, you know, some juice.
Okay, cool. So that leads me into the rest, because you've got other products, and you've got protocols, and you've got kind of your everyday protocol, and then you've got, well, I guess a standard protocol, and then you've got a comprehensive protocol, and then you've got the sport protocol. So let's talk about those in whatever order you want to talk about them.
Okay. So I think the most common question I think we get when it comes to sport versus release. So sport release and regular release are the same product in the sense that they have the same mechanism of action. Both of these products are releasing on average about 10 million stem cells when you take 2 capsules. We formulated sport as an NSF certified product to help professional athletes or high performing athletes that need to take an NSF certified product because of WADA. So NSF certified products are WADA compliant, World Anti-Doping Agency compliant. We formulated sport without colostrum. So colostrum is in regular release. In sport, we took out colostrum and replaced it with Terral Stilbe, which is also an extract that can help with workout recovery in the sense of helping to aid sore muscles. So there's an extra ingredient in there that can help with soreness. So at the end of the day, one's a vegan product. Sport does not have colostrum in it. Colostrum is, you know, a dairy product, so that's in regular release. And then we have an NSF certified product, which is sport.
So, though, what's I don't know if it's fascinating or annoying to me that something like colostrum, which is such an important component of health and of healing and of gut health, and I mean, colostrum is like, it's yes, it comes from an animal that produces dairy, or a person, or I guess we're all animals, but point to that is it's not really dairy. It's a whole other type of food that is so beneficial to the immune system and to everything else. And to go, oh, well, you shouldn't have this because you're in sports, I'm like, what is that even about?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just, I think I was told that it's considered a growth hormone, and I don't know if that's the reason why. It's a highly fractionated amount of colostrum in release anyways. It's such a small amount. Mm-hmm. It's not, our number one ingredient, but for it to be NSF certified, colostrum can't be in it. So we have that for professional athletes or high performing athletes, or really for, the athletic person, because the Terral Stilbe can help aid more in workout recovery.
Okay. Cool.
So that's the sport. So when people ask, we have 2 types of release, one sport, one regular. And then we have 2 additional products. And the reason Christian formulated these 2 products was because he identified, once your stem cells have released from the bone marrow and they're now circulating, there's really 2 main reasons why stem cells in circulation don't actually migrate to the areas of damaged tissue. One reason is because of too much inflammation in the body. Mm-hmm. And I know this can kind of get a little bit confusing, because inflammation or injury really can be the signaling pathway for those stem cells to migrate. But when there's so much inflammation in the body, those stem cells are not going to actually be called to the areas we need them to go to. Mm-hmm. Right? So when there's too much oxidative stress, too much systemic inflammation in the body, we need to be able to turn down the background noise to allow for those stem cells to navigate to where they really need to go. So we formulated Signal. Signal is nature's plant extracts that all have anti-inflammatory properties in them. So we have things like curcumin, turmeric, bromelain, spirulina, about 12 more plant extracts that all help to aid in bringing down the background noise. So what Signal does, brings down the background noise to allow for proper stem cell navigation. The second reason why stem cells in circulation don't actually migrate to the areas of damaged tissue is because of a poor or weakened microvascular system. And so what I mean by this is we need really healthy capillaries, arteries, and veins and blood to allow for those stem cells to flow and mobilize to where they need to go. And as we age, and due to oxidative stress and inflammation, naturally, and really the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, our environmental factors, lifestyle, our capillaries, arteries, and veins become damaged. And so what we need is these pathways to really open up. We need the size of the capillary to really open up and be strong and flexible to allow the stem cell to migrate through. In measurement, the size of a stem cell is about 30 micron, and in measurement, a capillary is about 12 micron. So if we have very weak capillaries, those stem cells aren't going to migrate through. And so we have ingredients in Mobilize. It's a powder that has things like nitric oxide, nitocanase, beetroot extracts that do several things. It's really an all-in-one. It's not only helping to increase blood flow and help to kind of thin the blood, it has glycocalyx repair technology. It's helping to make things smooth and slick again around the walls and on the outside. It's also allowing the plaque and the calcium built up inside of the walls to really root around. So
you've seen, to interrupt you again, you've seen a reduction in plaque?
Yes.
Awesome.
We've also seen blood pressure come down.
Okay. Amazing.
So it's really an amazing product. We also have athletes or people, not even just athletes, but just the normal person that wants to go work out. We've had people use this as a pre-workout because it's increasing blood flow. It's getting things to open up. And so that's something that you want when you're going into the gym. It's a wonderful pre-workout as well.
Nice.
And so the intention really is to take mobilize, signal, and release together as a protocol. So we have the standard protocol, we have the advanced protocol. And really we're going to suggest the advanced protocol for anyone that's trying to focus on something specific, something targeted that they're trying to heal or repair. And there's many types of people that fit this category. I can't make claims here, so I'm not going to go into certain cases, but just think anyone has a specific condition, something targeted that they're trying to heal and repair in their body, we're going to recommend the advanced protocol. And that's going to be 2 capsules 3 times a day of release. That's going to be 4 tablets of Signal and 1 stick pouch of Mobilize. And we would recommend this protocol anywhere from 3 to 6 months before going to the standard protocol. I think of the standard protocol for two categories. It's really the maintenance protocol for someone that's gone through the advanced protocol, they're now in maintenance, or it's for the healthy individual using this for longevity and a proactive approach to their lifestyle. So I take the standard protocol. I have taken the advanced protocol, and I've done that for 3 to 6 months, and I'm in maintenance. I'm taking 2 capsules of release, 4 tablets of Signal, and 1 stick pouch of Mobilize.
So here's what I love about this, because especially when you're dealing with these super chronic patient or client, which is I have a couple who I'm working on getting this started with, but so often what you hear as someone who has been from doctor to doctor to doctor, and you can't figure out what's going on or why it's happening, and it's you're going to have to take this to manage your symptoms for the rest of your life. You're going to have to keep going to doctors. You're going to have to keep doing all of these things. This is the rest of your life kind of stuff. So yes, I think the supplement is beneficial long term, but you don't have to do this comprehensive protocol, because what you told me is most people are finding a change within a month, In my mind, I would suggest, going 2 months, because for those who are super chronic, let's make sure that you're giving it a chance. But to know that there is kind of an end in sight for it's not comprehensive, it's advanced, right? Advanced protocol. Either way, but to know that there's kind of an end in sight, you should notice significant change and then be able to go into a sort of a maintenance standard dosing that is obviously easier and not so much. I mean, I think that that's a big deal for our mental and emotional health, for our pocketbook, right?
Yeah. And what I love about being in the maintenance phase is I cycle through things, and in fact I just started getting back into the maintenance protocol. I took a few weeks off, and I do that with everything. I take several different things that I just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to give my body a rest and just kind of do one thing for the next few weeks. And it was interesting. For the last few weeks, I've had achiness in my back. I've had achiness like in my wrist because I'm doing a lot of Pilates. I'm doing a lot of, putting a lot of tension on my wrist. We're doing a lot of planking. And so my wrists are really feeling it. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to start back on the protocol. Well, I start back on the protocol the next day, the achiness has gone away. Amazing. And so I know that it works every single time I get back on it. It's just, I laugh sometimes. I'm like, why am I taking a break? Sometimes I get a little bit fatigued when I'm taking a bunch of things. And so I like to kind of cycle through things, come back to it. Sometimes I'll be on it for a few months. Sometimes I'll take a month off. But rest assured, every single time I get back on it, I notice a difference.
Yeah, that is amazing. And that's something that I'll tell, the people who I work with is, so, I tend to do, a significant amount of therapeutic supplementation early on because I'm working with people who we've got a lot of stuff to work on. But my goal always is, let's get it to the minimal amount and then pulse it, because you don't want to always and forever, for most things, not all things, right, but always and forever be on a supplement. And I think that it would seem to be the same for something like this. You can pulse it, but then when you do pulse it and you notice a difference, it is why don't I just continue and just keep doing it? Yeah. But pulsing is, I think for a lot of things, pulsing is really smart and it's natural. And we want our body to work on its own, right, without a bunch of stuff. But, some things, maybe we should just take them all the time. I don't know.
And one thing I've noticed too, because I'm a firm believer in other therapeutic modalities like PEMF therapy, red light therapy, infrared sauna, exercise, hyperbaric oxygen, laser therapy, shockwave therapy. Our product really is the ultimate hack stack. When you take this product, your body can go repair itself, absolutely. But when you take this product and stack it with a therapeutic modality, we've noticed a huge change, and that change really is it's shortening the cycle. Is what we've noticed when it comes to healing the body. So when you're stacking it with something like shockwave therapy, we've noticed when it comes to injuries like musculoskeletal injuries. Advanced protocol 1 month, shockwave therapy, people are noticing like, oh my gosh, the damage that was done to my knees or my shoulders, I feel so much better. I'm not in pain anymore.
I love shockwave therapy. I've done it multiple times myself. Also, my other favorite thing is infrared sauna. There's so
I have a membership
data
to an infrared sauna place. I try to go. That's like my nightly ritual. That's how I go relax. I go every night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's so smart. And that's the thing is the data behind infrared sauna is magic, right? And so just for those who don't know, and it's, there's the full spectrum and there's far infrared. And I tend to go more toward the full spectrum. But, both are important, both are detoxifying. But when we're looking at the data for something like this, one of the biggest things I have, I had epigenetic variants that predisposed me to Alzheimer's, right? And so, like, if I did not take care of myself, what the data shows is I have 90% chance of developing Alzheimer's. Yeah, it's crazy, right? But
whoa.
I know it's kind of a big number. But how cool is it that we can see it, that I know it, right? We can see it in labs, and I can understand. I know what it is that I need to do to mitigate something like this, and so I do the things, at least for the most part. There, you're not supposed to drink. I do have some wine, but I do all of the other things. What did you say?
It's balance, like you
to
really
a degree.
You really can't harp on yourself too much. I mean, I think there's a podcast that you had done where, every once in a while, like, you can't beat yourself up for indulging a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. And I think it depends on the severity of your condition and your situation. Some things, if you go outside of what you're supposed to do, it's going to take you, way far backwards than where you were. So agree with you, but depends on the situation. But yes, I do all of these other things so I can have a little bit of wine or a little cocktail or have a little bit of fun, keep these other these other markers in line, right? But with that being said, the data shows for Alzheimer's that there's a 60% less chance of Alzheimer's if you're doing infrared sauna. I think it's either 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what in heart disease they
yes.
say crack, stroke, all of it's like diminishes by like 60%.
Huge. They're huge numbers. These are not little numbers. Yeah, it's fascinating. And so adding on, and I love the whole biohacking, but adding on, even just a few of these things can increase our potential, our longevity maybe, but the way that we're moving through life on a daily basis. We got to feel good to do good, right? When you don't feel good, you're like, okay, I don't really want to do anything.
And I think a lot of these modalities, at the end of the day, a lot of them are focusing on getting inflammation out of the body. I mean, really, the STEMREGEN protocol is getting inflammation down. Infrared sauna is getting inflammation down. PEMF therapy is getting inflammation down. So stacking these modalities together and using them consistently can definitely not only heal the body, but prevent, disease from settling in.
Yeah, so good. It's so good. Makes me so excited. And I want to make sure that we cover all of the things you want to cover because we're almost done, and we're going to have you on again because I think this is I love the whole cutting edge thing, and I love this so much. And I'm so surprised at how much that I've gotten excited about it. But yeah, if there's anything that you need to say that you haven't said, then jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, another common, I love to just address like frequently asked questions. And another frequently asked question other than the sport is, what products do I really need to take? And these products work together really, really well when you stack them all together. But they can also be taken individual, For someone that's just working, that just wants to take one product and they're focusing on getting inflammation down, they can take Signal. For someone that's really focusing on circulation, they can take Mobilize. For someone that really needs tissue repair, they can focus on Release. For someone that can, really needs to benefit from the entire protocol, we're going to recommend the entire protocol. Another common question we get is, am I depleting my own stem cells? And the answer is no. Although we have, stem cells are created in the red marrow, we have a small amount of red marrow left. We have wells of stem cells inside of the red marrow, and we're utilizing the healthy wells that we have. So we've got very healthy wells, and one thing that I like to talk about is look at professional athletes. Professional athletes, due to what they're putting their bodies through and the level that they're performing at, they're releasing a lot more stem cells on a daily basis than the average human being. They're releasing a lot more than what our product is putting into circulation, and these people are not dying at 60 or 70 because they don't have these stem cells left. So it's not a thing. We're not diminishing the stem cells that we have. We're just utilizing the well of stem cells that we have and putting more into circulation.
Awesome. So good. Well, I'm sure that anybody who's watching, but if you're not watching and you're only listening, we have, we put up a discount. So there's a QR code. There is the little bit.ly link that I created. I'm like, that's kind of an ugly bit.ly link. So but I did it last minute. So anyway, but it'll be in all of the, the post show notes and comments and all of that stuff. So if it's something that you're interested in, definitely check it out. I've been taking it only for a short time now. I'll start giving it to my dogs. I don't, at least at this point, have a lot of things I'm working on, except there are a couple of things that I think I'm starting to notice. I've had some hip pain. I have this thing in my foot that nobody seems to know what it is, but it feels like some of that stuff is starting to diminish. And I'm only taking the release at this point, because this is all still new to me and I'm still learning, which is why I wanted to do this show, so I could learn some more. But anyway, I think that I'm excited to get me going on it more, my husband, my dogs, my patients and clients who are just really struggling. That's really been my focus right now, is getting them started so we can start having some fun and letting them have some fun. Pain is no good, man.
Our slogan is releasing more you. So at the end of the day, it's more life, more health, more you. So to get out and do the things that you love.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will do this again without a doubt. When, of course, it'll be fun when I have a little more of my own sort of, my own data. But thank you. I hope that y'all check out the website. This is, it's the cutting edge stuff, and it's a simple supplement. You're like, how is that possible? It's so good. God is good.
Our website it really is becoming an educational platform. It's STEMREGEN.co, and on the website you can go listen to our founder Christian Derpo talk. He has several videos in there talking about endogenous stem cell mobilization, really breaking the ingredients down. We also have white papers. So our white papers are readily available to anyone who wants to see those. We have the cardiovascular white paper on there. We have a sport protocol white paper on there. We have the human repair system. So lots of research available to anyone who's interested in learning more.
Cool. Yep. The bit.ly link will take you to that site where you can check stuff out. It's also where you can get the 10% off. So yeah, let us know if there are questions that you have. Obviously, you can reach out to Hannah. She's been amazing. She's so full of knowledge and is really, really helpful. So you can also check out whatever you want to check out from the website, tastelifenutrition.com. We're here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com. For Taste Life Nutrition on all of the socials. And then, of course, if you go to the website, you can fill out a free assessment that will just take you straight to me, and we'll chat about what's going on with you, and maybe we'll just put you on STEMREGEN. I don't know. So have a wonderful day. Thank you again, Hannah. Hang on with me here for just a second, but really grateful that you were able to join. It's good stuff.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.